Well, alright boys and girls, it's finally about that time we can get the first service done on this thing, so that's what we're on our way to do. Come on, dude. Don't you know how these roundabouts work? So we finally got 600 miles on this thing. We can go get the first service done, and the dealership that I bought the bike from was gracious enough to offer me a demo bike while they're doing that work. So as you can see by the title of the video, you already know what that's going to be. I'm not 100% sure. They gave me there's a couple options, so we'll see when we get there. And hey, what do you know, look at it, it's overcast, it might rain. Super, really excited about that. So yeah, I don't know, man, looking at the sky, it's kind of looking like getting wet might be inevitable. So I think we're going to pull over here, throw the frog togs on, and put the electronics away. Oh man, I'd rather do that than have it start coming down and then have to like scurry off the bike to do all that stuff. So yeah, we're gonna pull over real quick and do that. Alright guys, here you have it, 2018 Yamaha Star Venture. I believe this is the Transcontinental model because it does have navigation. First, I just want to say a big thank you to Cyclecraft in Woodstock, Illinois for letting me take this out as a demo while they're doing the first service on my bike. Not getting paid for this at all. They're not doing this first service for free or anything like that. The guys there are great to deal with. Mark in sales, Keith in service, both super friendly. And like I said, offered me to take this bike out and do a little review on it. Without further ado, let's do that. Full disclosure, I'm not like a motorcycle magazine editor or anything like that, so my knowledge of this particular bike is going to be limited to what I've read online on Yamaha's website. And I didn't even get a walk around before I took the bike out because it was just kind of, I dropped my bike off, picked this one up, and I was on my way. Now I did get a little wet on the way there, so when I turned the video off, yeah, got a little damp. As far as my opinion, you guys are going to get an unbiased review of the bike, you know, from basically just a motorcycle enthusiast like you guys. So let's go. So I'll tell you guys right off the bat here, I put about 15 miles on before I started recording, just to kind of familiarize myself a little bit with the controls. So far, I mean, it's pretty intuitive. I mean, everything you can kind of click through. Some of it's a little confusing, you know, as far as like getting to the navigation screen and turning the music on and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of figured it out after about 5 minutes or so of messing with it. And again, I haven't read any manuals or anything like that, so it's just kind of going by the seat of my pants here. Riding position, it's pretty comfortable. I definitely have some lower back support here. I kind of like that. I know that the driver's seat, there's like a backrest pad that's adjustable, so that's kind of a nice feature if you're a little bit of a shorter guy. I mean, you don't have to, if you're on a Harley, you got to buy a whole new seat. At least this has some adjustability right out of the factory. I will tell you guys though, this thing is big, dude. This is almost like a 1,000-pound bike. I want to say I think it's about 960 pounds or something like that, which is almost 100 pounds heavier, I think, than the Goldwing, which is also kind of in this class. Now, Yamaha went with a air-cooled V-twin in this bike, so similar to like your big American touring bikes, Harley, Indian. You know why they did that? I don't know. I mean, are they trying to get a piece of that Harley-Davidson pie? My opinion, I would say yes. I mean, as far as looks though, from a look standpoint, this thing's pretty dang cool looking, man. I mean, it's got that kind of retro vibe to it. You know, it almost looks like a early 70s, like a Dodge Barracuda or Mopar or whatever. I don't know what the hell they are. But you kind of got that vibe to it, you know what I mean? And dude, I'll tell you what, if Harley came out with something like this, I guarantee you, I mean, some people wouldn't like it just because, you know, some people don't like, you know, evolution and things evolving, and, you know, they kind of like that more traditional kind of a look to it. But I'll tell you what, man, it's a pretty cool looking bike. And I do think if Harley were to come out with something like this, you know, looks wise, I think people would really like it. A couple things I don't like right off the bat. There's no heel shifter on this thing, man. It's just a toe shifter. I would think on a big touring bike like this, that would be just kind of a given that you'd have a heel shifter on it. Also with the riding position, the handlebars, not super thrilled about the handlebar position. I don't know if it can be, you know, I feel like the riding position sitting is good. Dude, I think my heated seat is on. I am dying right now. My butt is on fire. Let's see if we can figure this out quick, guys. Function, let's see. Seat heater. I don't know, it says it's off. I don't know, maybe it's just the motor giving off that much heat, man. I don't know, it feels warm. But anyway, where was I? Talking about the seating position. So the seat's good, my legs are actually in a really good position. The handlebars, I'm not really crazy about. Like, I almost feel like they're a little bit too cramped, so I don't know if that would be just an easy, you know, adjustment where you can lift the bars up a little bit, and that would solve that problem. I mean, I don't think you'd really want to put new handlebars on this, but I don't know, maybe if you can't adjust them, that'd be an option. But that's just me. I'm 6'3". I'm a big guy. I'm about 300 pounds. So, you know, I mean, this is a little bit cramped in the arm area, but I think you guys, if you watched my other video, you saw I had ape hangers on the Harley, so that definitely got my arms up and out of the way. From a sound standpoint, it sounds great. I mean, that air-cooled V-twin, you're definitely getting that rumble. It's not overbearing though when you're riding it. I mean, you definitely hear it. You don't really feel it so much, but you're definitely hearing that little bit of a rumble. And then if you kind of get on it, you know, you start to feel a little bit more, and you definitely you get that kind of sound, that big thick rumble to it. So I do kind of like that. You know, why they didn't do you know, a bigger, I think the Goldwings have like a 6-cylinder in them. You know, why they didn't do something like that, I don't know. Again, maybe they're going after a piece of that American touring bike pie. A couple other features that I feel like are pretty cool. The windscreen, just a touch of a button here, you hit that, drops down about 3 inches. Now in the low position, I'm definitely getting some buffeting on the top of my head in the helmet. So if it was me, if I'm riding this thing, I'm pretty much leaving it in the tallest setting always. It takes that wind and sets it right over my right over the top of my helmet. Also, a pretty clever thing that they did here with this bike, they have these little side wind deflectors here. You can shoot these things out. Not sure if you guys can see that, but these little deflectors, and if you turn them out like so, it's pushing all that wind around you. So if you're in the cabin, you're actually getting a pretty nice ride. Like, you're not getting beat with the wind. You know, I mean, this thing's got a huge fairing in front, so not like you're going to get beat with the wind anyway. But you know, if it's a little bit cooler and you're trying to get the wind kind of out and around you, you know, you just kind of set those things out like that. And you know, it's kind of nice too, because looking at the bike, you know, when you're standing out next to the bike and looking at it, they don't really look like an afterthought. You know what I mean? It looks like they were, you know, they're meant to be there. So it's not just a little addition or something that somebody was like, oh, we'll slap these on. So that's kind of nice. I do like that. Then on your hot days, turn them in like this, and then you're going to get that wind directed right to you. So like today, man, it's a little bit, I'm a little bit warm right now. It's a little bit muggy. I know my last video on the bike, I was complaining about the heat, but I just got done with a rainstorm, and it's a little humid. My windscreen's fogging up a little bit. It's a little humid. Now the bike does have communication on it too, and again, I'm not 100% familiar, so don't hose me if I say something wrong here. But like I said, man, all I know is what I read on the Yamaha website, so I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. So this little dial, or not dial, this little plug right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's for your communications. Now, apparently the infotainment center in this screen can be controlled. I don't know if it's like voice activated or what, but it's all hardwired. So you have this plug, that'll go into your helmet, and then you can kind of talk to the bike and control everything. Now, from my understanding, why they didn't just do a Bluetooth setup is that I guess the easiest way to explain this is, I guess Bluetooth, I don't know if it's bandwidth or what it is, but your information is funneled through like such a small path that you're not able to get all that information from one end to the other. So they had to go with the hard wire. So you basically have this big cable, and that way they're able to get all that information through into the bike. For me, I mean, even though, yeah, you're going to be wired to the bike, I feel like it's less of an issue, man. Like sometimes, I don't know if any of you guys use Bluetooth in your cars with your cell phones and, you know, hands-free. A lot of times those things, you have issues with them and there's problems. So it's a little bit more of a simplified system. I don't know, could they have figured out a way to do it Bluetooth? I don't know, man, it's above my pay grade. So I'm sure there's somebody that's way smarter out there that could tell you that. With your handlebar controls here, I mean, you have everything pretty much at your fingertips, so you can kind of cycle through all this stuff. I think you can arrow over, you can search, you can go through your music settings and things like that. So it's actually pretty sweet. And if you hit the center button, let's see here if we can go down to navigation. Come on, man, I just want to back out. Just back me out. What's this thing doing? What do I do? Just set a destination? I want to do that. I don't know, man. Like I said, still learning. Still learning. Category stuff. Let's back out of here. Come on. So there we go. Back to the navigation. Now, as far as storage on this thing, holy cow, man. The trunk on this thing is huge. I'll show you that in a minute. Saddlebags are big. Trunk is huge. And everything's controlled by this lock right here. So this is actually pretty sweet too, man. You can just hit this lock. This unlocks everything. The gas cap here, which, just as a side note, man, as far as fit and finish, this little plastic thing is kind of chintzy feeling. But you know, you would think when you're talking about a bike that's about $25,000, those little things, those little touches, like attention to detail, I feel like should be better. Overall, really cool looking bike. I mean, it's a really nice bike, but just some of those little small things, these little cubbies over here, you know, the open and lock on those, it has a little bit of a cheap kind of plasticky feel to it. And same thing with this gas cap cover here, man. They're getting kind of just a cheaper feel. You know, I feel like if you ride my old Road King, I know it didn't have all the fairings and all that kind of stuff, but everything on it felt, you know, it felt good. You know, it had a nice firm feel to it. Any of the switches and dials, and I will say that, you know, these dials here, they feel pretty good. If you've ever been on any kind of a metric touring bike, you kind of know what you're getting here. On a Harley Davidson, I feel like that kind of, you know, those things go another step further. I mean, you get a nice firm, you know, click when you're pushing buttons. It's just like, I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels good. Like, it just feels right. You know, like when you hit it, it's like a satisfying feeling. Small details, man, like that makes the difference, especially when you're talking about buying a motorcycle that costs more than a lot of cars out there. From a power standpoint, I think this thing is a 113 cubic inch motor. It's got a little over 1800 cc's, and it feels powerful, man. It's got a good amount of power. You know, if you downshift it and you kind of really get on it, you feel that rumble, you know, and it picks up and scoots, man. It feels really good. I definitely like the power. Another feature that this bike has that I actually thought was pretty cool. I don't know if there's a lot of other touring bikes out there that have this. I'm sure there is. I mean, I'd imagine like a Goldwing probably has everything under the sun. But there's a lever down here right by the gas tank. I don't know if you can see that. But if you're parked, and like I said, this thing's almost 1,000 pounds, right? So, you know, if you pull up somewhere, you pull up to a restaurant, you're trying to park your bike, and then, you know, you're lumbering, you know, you're kicking your feet, trying to back the thing up. There's little gravel or pebbles or whatever, and your feet are sliding out from under you, and you're like, ugh, trying to push this big, you know, big bike. Almost slipped right there. You're trying to push this big old bike, and then, you know, your feet start slipping, you just can't do it. Well, anyway, this lever here, when you're stopped, you pull that out, and then I think you either push it down or pull it up, and then it puts the bike into, there's a mode with a little electronic motor, and you can actually move the bike forward or backwards. So if you pull up, you're ready to park somewhere, you pull that out, click that engage, and then hit your button, and you can back the bike into a stall, you know, go forward if you're on a little bit of an incline, if you need to move the bike. So that's kind of a neat feature. You know, otherwise, you know, if you're like, you know, you're out to dinner, you're taking a lady out for dinner, and you're like, hey babe, can you, you know, jump off the bike and you want to give me a little push? Nobody wants to do that, right? So you just hit your little lever, push a little button, you're backed up. You leave her on the bike. And you don't have to look like that guy that can't push your bike backwards. Now, as far as the drivetrain on this thing, I know I mentioned the power. You know, it feels like it's got a good amount of power. The transmission, even though when you're shifting, you're getting a good, like, you're getting a firm shift, but I almost feel like you're still getting that, like, clunk. For anybody that's ridden a Harley, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And, you know, and it's not a, you know, you're not losing any confidence in your shift because you know the bike's going into gear, but it's just that kind of clunk, you know, you get that clunk. So I would think, you know, a Japanese manufacturer like this, Yamaha, come on guys, you can do better. I shouldn't feel that big clunk when I'm shifting this thing. And who knows, I don't know, was the clunk intentional? I hope not. I don't know why you would engineer something like that into a bike. Maybe it's just nature of the beast though, man, when you go to these big air-cooled V-twins. Because any of them that I've ever ridden, you definitely get that clunk in the transmission, but what do I know? I'm not an engineer. Now, one thing I do like about this bike a lot is the brakes, man. The brakes feel great. You know, coming from, you know, if you're doing 50, 60 miles an hour and you need to brake hard, the brakes feel awesome, man. You get a real good feel in the brake lever here, and even the foot brake. I don't know. I'm assuming that this is quite a bit like the Tenere, in that, you know, if you apply front brake, it applies pressure to both. But a really good solid feel there, so I definitely like the brakes. Man, I'll tell you what though, much like the Harley, dude, my crotch is on fire right now. Like, oh man, just that, I don't know if it's the exhaust, the way they route the exhaust or what, but heated seat or not, man, I'm on fire down there. When you're moving, you got some airflow going, it's not bad, but sit at a red light for a minute, get a little damp. So yeah, I think we're gonna go we'll go cruise down by Lake Michigan, and then we'll do a little walk around more of the bike. I'll get off the bike, kind of show you some of the features, some of the cool stuff. I'm just gonna be riding through town right now, so this is pretty boring. I know you guys don't want to see that, so we'll pick it back up once I get down by the lake. Oh, dude, let's try this. Let's try this park assist, huh? Let's try this. Actually, oh man, this dude's leaving. All right, well, I'm about to take that spot then. I'm just about to take that spot. I guess we won't try the park assist, huh? Boom. Actually, you know what? We're gonna pull forward. We're gonna try this out. Let's go neutral. No, I never read this in a magazine, how to go. You go down, and then we'll go, oh, look at that. Look at that. If that's not intuitive, look at that, Sure Park. Even says, see right there, Sure Park. Intuitive. Good job, Yamaha. That's actually pretty nice, man. It's a pretty neat little feature. And the guy told me, he was like, make sure you unlock that when you turn the bike off and it turns the alarm off. So I don't know what's up with that, but quirky little thing. So yeah, again, with it, I don't know if that activated or not. So this little door here, I don't know, man, it's not very confidence inspiring with that. And then same with these here, like these little cubbies. I mean, I don't know, man, I just feel like those would break. And when you're spending $26,000 on a motorcycle, those little details, in my opinion, should be sorted out. And then if we're going to come around here, the seat adjustment I was telling you guys about, this little rope or tether little thing, you pull this and you can move the seat forward and back. So if you're a little shorter guy, you do have a little bit of adjustability there, which is kind of nice. Heat controls for the passenger seat there, and then also your communicators back here, so you can kind of, you know, set your volume and all that kind of good stuff back there for your passenger. Oh, let's see what else. I don't know if there's another little cubby. What do we got going on here? Yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and not mess with that. So I don't know what that is. I also read that these are adjustable, so you can kind of go up or down. So I'm guessing maybe you unbolt those, move the passenger pegs up or down if you need to. Taking the few corners that I did on this thing, it felt good, man. There wasn't a lot of I didn't scrape at all. I felt like I was taking some corners pretty deep too. And then here's that lever again for your Sure Park. Pull that out, push that down, and then you can use your controls right here to go forward and back. As far as your storage in the saddlebags, press your buttons here. I got my little bag of chips and a Monster and my Frog Togs in case we get wet on the way back. That's the saddlebags, I will say, give you a nice secure feel though when you're opening and closing these. And I got my tank bag for my Tenere back there too. And then you can lock them with your key here. So saddlebags are nice. The trunk is absolutely massive. Oh look, what do we have there? A drone. I think in closing here, my thoughts on the Yamaha Star Venture Transcontinental. It's a nice bike. You know, if I was in the market for a big touring cruiser like this, this would definitely be a bike I wouldn't overlook. Would I end up, you know, buying this particular bike? I don't know. You know, I'd have to ride some of the other ones. I mean, this one's definitely nice. It's got great power. The fit and finish stuff, like I said, I mean, I don't know, can you overlook that kind of stuff when you're talking about spending $27,000? I don't know. I don't know. You know, the styling, I love the styling. I think this bike looks awesome. Like I was saying earlier, I think if if Harley Davidson were to come out with a bike that looks like this, everybody would go nuts. I think everybody would love it. You know, just because it's got that retro styling. I think Yamaha really did it right. I think they really did it right with this one. So at the end of the day, if you're shopping for one of these bikes, definitely take a look at this one. If you're in the area, again, big thank you to Cyclecraft out in Woodstock, Illinois. I'll put their information up here with their address and phone number and stuff. And again, I didn't get paid for any of this. Man, those guys just took really good care of me when I was buying the Tenere. So having said all that, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give me a like, subscribe if you guys haven't already. It really helps me out. It means more to me than you know. So I really appreciate it if you guys are subscribing. Till the next video, guys.